course. That is a large amount, especially if you have to retake the test. But I just want to just stress how important it is, in your classes. Um, that's what really prepares you the most, so I know that some of your instructors, they will have tips and help, extra assistance available, just to kind of help you prepare. So that's a great resource. So your instructors are great resources for you, kind of what to expect and things like that. So definitely reach out to them, as well as on the testing website, the practice exam, the study guides. Those are all resources to help you prepare for the exam. Yes, we have a question. Carolina?
I just want to be clear. So the content test has to be done spring of 2022. And then if you do any endorsement like bilingual ESL, additional testing, it should be done by spring of 2023, correct?
Exactly.
So there was a question. I dropped the link in the chat for the testing website where you could register to take tests and find out the testing days and things like that.
So there are some questions about the exam date. So just keep in mind that the exam is offered year round. I'm recommending that you take it after you're done with classes in the spring, just so that you just won't have so much on your plate. But if you need the time, because someone said, should we take it before June 15th? So June 15th is the student teaching application deadline. And one of the questions in the student teaching application is the date that you pass the exam or the date that you're registered. So we want to know, if you have not passed it by the June 15th deadline, the date that you're registered for it. So I would definitely recommend, I know spring semester ends in May, you just kind of want to take a break from all things, but you definitely need to have that on your radar and register for the exam. So even if maybe you're taking summer classes and you kind of want to wait until you're done, register for it. So even if you're registering for it maybe at the end of July, let's just for example, after you're done with your summer class, then we want to know that date just so we'll know when to expect the results. And please get your scores released to UIC. You have that option when you register for the exam. It'll list schools, and each school has a code, and then you would just look for the code for UIC so that we'll get your scores. The Illinois State Board of Education, they automatically get your scores, so you don't have to worry about that. But for us, the only way that we'll get your scores is if you release them to UIC. So please make sure when you register for your content exam, you register for your endorsement exam, that you get your scores released to us. Yes. Is the content exam different from the licensing exam? Yes. So all urban education students must take the test 305. That's 1 through 6. So everyone gets 1 through 6. But if you want to be endorsed and teach those middle grades, the 5 through 8, you have to take additional courses, and then an exam is also required. So for example, if Serena wanted to take, if she wanted to get endorsed, let's just say in language arts, so in addition to the 305, she would take the middle grades endorsement exam specifically for language arts. So that would be an additional exam, an additional fee. So there are 2 different exams. Okay, what if you take the test multiple times because you're just bad when it comes to standardized testing, you don't meet the required score? Yeah, great question. You do have an opportunity to take the exam again. When you register, the earliest that you can register for another exam is 2 weeks later. So if let's say you take the exam um, May 15th. And when you take the exam, you get unofficial scores right away. It's a computer-based exam, so it'll give you unofficial exam scores, so you'll know like how you did on the exam. And the earliest that you can retake it would be 2 weeks later. So if you took it May 15th, then it'll be May 29th will be the earliest date that you can retake it. But there's no limit to the amount of times you can retake it. But again, if you, and that's a great question, you could be a straight A student, very strong student, but you might just have some anxiety when it comes to taking standardized tests. And students have definitely shared that with me. Um, but you do have an opportunity to retake it. And I would recommend that if that is a concern, that you take the practice exam just to kind of get yourself a little bit more familiar with what to expect. So when you take the exam, it won't be something totally new. But you do have the opportunity to retake it, even if if you don't pass it, you can always retake it. How do you apply for the voucher? So when we receive the vouchers in CTE, we will let your program coordinator, who is Dr. Trender, we will let her know when we receive the vouchers, and then she'll share that information with you all. So what we do is we get the vouchers in bulk, and then we share them with each program. So urban ed, with special ed, secondary programs, English, math, whatsoever. So every program gets a certain amount of vouchers. Um, so you'll get some more information about that from your program coordinator. You have to pay every time you take yes, you do. You do have to pay every time you take the exam. Yeah, they do not offer like any like discount if it's like a retake. You do have to take. You have to pay every time. How long after the exam do you get results? You get unofficial results the same day. So after you submit you're done, you'll get the unofficial results. But the official results, it usually takes about 2 weeks. And so you'll get the unofficial results. I believe they're emailed. So you'll have an account with the testing system, and they'll email you to let you know when the official results come in. Oh, is it possible to take the endorsement exams later after student teaching? Yes, it is. Of course, you cannot be endorsed in the area until the passing scores are on file. I do recommend, if it's possible, that you take the exam prior to completing student teaching, because once you graduate, it'll be an additional fee. So, for example, if Stephanie was to get, let's say, a math endorsement, so when she applies for, during her final semester, you're going to meet with our licensure officer. Her name is Sierra Ryan. She'll have a workshop for all of the student teachers. At that time, you will complete paperwork for your license, for your teaching license. License. It's called an entitlement application. So the entitlement application, everyone, of course, with your 1 through 6, and then you would check off every area that you want her to evaluate you for an endorsement. So what she will do is that at the end of the semester, when she checks your grades, and she'll make sure that you have all the requirements for the endorsement, and the entitlement is her letting the Illinois State Board of Education know that you completed all requirements to be a licensed teacher, as well as to be endorsed in all the different areas. When she does that, you only pay the one fee. But if you decide to get endorsed after she entitles you, then you will have to pay an additional fee to add an endorsement to your teaching license. So just keep that in mind. You can always get additional endorsements later down the line, but the Illinois State Board will charge a fee. But if you finish your endorsement requirements prior to finishing your student teaching. At the same